might be my first terrifying, and I'm gonna guide you through Tower of Micromanagement. Quick disclaimer, I do use skips, because I made no progress trying to do a fully legit run. I also have a different way of entering the portal room. Firstly, if you like, press low detail mode, then go to the beginners section where the portal room is located under. Go inside of the crevice and attempt to walk across the 6 stud gap. It is possible and it may take a few attempts. After you've done all that, you have made it to the portal room. Now it's time for me to show you what information you might need to know. Here we go. Welcome. This tower is a very interesting tower, being either very enjoyable or not enjoyable for some people. The difficulty of the floors remain consistent, and the overall tower difficulty seems to be placed accurately on the difficulty chart. We start with a big head hitter stick out. Go back without shift lock and then go forward with shift lock. You'll then approach a sharp wraparound. For this part, quickly press the button and then turn to the ledge that has just activated. Then jump back on the button which has recently deactivated and then wrap around the wall. Wrap through the gap in the frame and then land by climbing on the truss. Hover around the truss and then get onto the ledge. Flick and then land into the gap in the frame. Be mindful of your head on this part as you may hit it when trying to wrap. Towards the end of this jump around the pillar, you should face towards the platform so you can actually climb up on it. If you're stuck in this truss, spam W. For this section, you should ledge grab and then climb down the truss and then bounce off and onto the next platform. For this section, press the button with your arm when the spinner is approaching and jump on the spinner blade and then up on top of the spinner. Welcome to floor 2. These dark slated bricks teleport you back. Mind your head here and ledge grab on the corner of the truss, then bounce off. Wrap out and then back into the frame. Complete this dance clip and then turn towards the ladder so you can land on it. Go at an angle and then bounce back onto the next truss and then bounce onto the elevator. Make sure not to touch this elevator or fall, or otherwise you have to start floor 2 again. Hover around this truss, flick to the button and back onto the truss. For these jumps, focus on your height so you don't touch the elevator. For this section, jump down to the lower crevice on the outside of the frame so you don't hit your head. You can take time to properly set up these following wraps. Following this dance clip, make sure you turn your character so it is going towards the platform. Now you have the last jumps and then you're onto floor 3. I recommend treating this jump like a long jump. Make sure when doing this wrap to not bounce off the truss. Find the arrow and then bounce off the truss there so then you can press the button. Sometimes you may get stuck on the spinner and have to do a 2-stud ledge climb. The wrap following the spinner is very tight, so be careful and make sure you face the ladder once you get there. Once you're on the spinner and you'll press the button, keep jumping back onto the spinner blades of the same color so that when the button deactivates, then you can go past. Once you have gotten the button, go into shift lock and move your mouse left and right slightly, but not too much. Upon wrapping onto the ladder, your jump will be taken away. Use alignment keys so you can align in between the truss. Do these truss flicks just like you would without jumping. Your camera should follow the surface of the cylinder as you walk around it. Beware that the 2 platforms under the cylinders actually spin. For the upcoming spinner, you'll want to walk off around 2/3 of the way around. At the end of this walk around, you just need to climb the ladder. You don't need to turn back into the platform. Following this, you can just walk down and then fit into the gap. Follow this wall slightly when you're trying to walk across this gap. For the following truss, like before, you just flick without jumping. Beware, the following sphere has arch bricks overhead, so walk around the ring of the sphere. At the end of this truss, you can just do a bit of a walk around. Then you've got some more walk arounds and then you can get your jump back. Once you've made sure your jump is back, then go into the launcher to go to floor 4. Treat the first jump of 4 like a long jump. Following that, there is a small ledge behind this wall that you'll need to wrap to. After that, hop over these 2 platforms, wrap behind this wall, and then find the button. Once you press the button, you have to wrap around again, go past the 2 platforms, and then do some head hitters. After the first wrap here is a platform, and then a truss after the second wrap. Following the truss flick, you'll have to make a quick turn. The following 2 jumps aren't too complex. For the upcoming button jump directly towards the button, and then quickly turn towards the next platform. Following that, perform this jump like a long jump, and then try and ledge grab assisted by the wall. So so that you can bounce off and onto the conveyor. After the wrap off of the conveyor and you go back onto the conveyor, stay at this specific point, and then when you're ready, just jump sideways like normal. When you reach this time section, try not to panic because the gameplay is actually not that hard when you have enough practice. There's just a few wraps and jumps and then you have made it to this part. Do try and get the jump to the truss done before the timer ends, but you don't have to. For this section, you'll just have to hover and then you'll have to flick off at the end of the truss. Following this, you'll have some simple jumps and then a quarter stud. You should line it up accordingly if you need to. Here's the first of 2 skips. You can high jump off the button so that you can skip the start of 5. On this X pusher, beware of both walls when you jump off. After these wraps, you'll have what I call the RNG truss. If you use Windows, then you should be fine have on every other platform. This sphere is going to be quite glitchy and it might just push you off. Make sure to turn towards the truss at the end of this very sharp wrap, and also be cautious of the upcoming spinning wall. Following this, you just have some truss flicks, and then you should wrap onto the red teleporter. You can wrap onto the ledges on the sides, and then you should wrap onto the truss. Now you find yourself on the outside of the floor. You should take the zip line, and then when it reaches the very end, you have to jump up and onto the ledge. You can perform a ledge grab, bounce off, and then hit the button, and then the platform will save you. Once you've finished gliding across that truss, a line in between the bars, and then you can press the button. Walk off the more extended bar, and then catch yourself in the truss. You should hover around the truss, and make sure at the corner to only turn and try not to press space. When you're on the zip line, you can use the wall to stop you. Then you can wrap around without having to rush. After that, on your right, there'll be a truss you have to climb up, so make sure you're ready for that. Then on the following part, walk down to the platform, then jump back up onto the wall above. Now press the button and make your way onto floor 6. Welcome to the net. You will likely loop fail and loop fail and loop fail. I apologize. For this wrap, you can just wrap around the first wall and go sideways. You'll have a few wraps and then you'll need to glide across this truss to the corner. Climb down and then jump back to the platform. Jump sideways using the conveyor, wrap from one bracket spinner to another bracket spinner, and once you've hit the button, it's recommended to jump back down to the net so you don't accidentally fall off. Hit this blue button and then use the conveyor to go back to where you were. Perform a head hitter to the launcher, and then on the zip line, you should wait until you're about where the platform is, jump up and wait till you're falling down to make your way onto the platform. Hug the opposite side of this wall and then attempt the wraparound like so. Don't underestimate this jump, it is a pretty big long jump. Be cautious when wrapping onto the spinner as you may fall off. Now you need to dodge the spinner when making this wrap. Now you have a really satisfying but glitchy ladder thing, where you have to glide across these ladders by just holding W and D, and then slowly go around this truss, and then you should make your way to the X pusher. Walk around that X pusher and go onto the sphere pillar thing, but you'll have to do this really annoying jump to floor 7. This floor welcomes you with a really hard, sharp wrap. Then you'll need to maneuver through this wall. When you're on this conveyor, hold A so you can immediately move back onto the conveyor. For this jump, jump sideways towards the truss and then immediately turn towards the truss when you've just touched it. You now have some more simpler ladder flicks and more jumps. Jump from the bottom of the slanted part using a long jump to get to the top of this platform. Go up the top of this truss, then down, then flick. You can try to ledge grab or walk around onto this truss, then hover to the corner, go down a bit, then jump off. For this part, walk forward and jump immediately. Now you want to make a little bit of a jump here, go against this part, and then shift lock sideways into it. Now you have a timed gauntlet where you have to get past it in less than 35 seconds. You just have to squeeze through a bunch of walls, turn into this upcoming wall, and then spam jump. Now for a change up ahead, you have beams to cross, which you just do like tight ropes or going against the wall. For the upcoming beam, you have to walk sideways from one part to another. This can be pretty inconsistent. For the upcoming truss part, face away from the truss so you don't accidentally climb it. Keep trying to force your way through these spinners. Make sure up ahead that you avoid the ouch bricks. After all that, the time section will be no more. However, you have to do a really sharp wrap, and I recommend staying close to the wall but not so close, and then landing on the extended part outside the platform. Following that, jump roughly in the middle of this conveyor and then do the conveyor momentum jump from there, rather than doing it too far back or too far forward. Progress thief bricks still do take you back to 5. There's only a few more jumps until you reach 8. For the truss, you'll want to climb to the top, then bounce back onto the platform behind you. Now welcome to the infamous floor that is floor 8. You can do the first wrap by facing this way so you don't have to turn as much. Perform this like a ledge grab and then do the wrap normally. You can choose to face either way when doing these button wraps. For this spinner, you'll have to jump up as soon as you get on. The out tricks can collide true. You can jump diagonally from the edge of this platform to avoid the walls. Climb up here and then walk around back onto the truss, hover around, go down so your fall starts below the roof, then bounce off and then onto the next truss. For the next jump on the swing, use the character models as a guide and jump off where the character models are. One more ladder flick and then you have acquired the button. Take the X pusher when there is no ouch bricks at the platform you're going to land on. Now for some wraps. Up ahead there's an X pusher. I recommend pushing it walking backwards and then attempt the jump regularly with the wall assisting you. For the final skip, you have to jump into the progress beef brick and then you will end up at 5, where you have to go back to 8 and then to 9. This is so you don't potentially lose a run on 8 outside. This does make your winning run so much longer. So there are drawbacks and advantages to this skip. Now you should be able to access floor 9. Floor 9 starts off with large but netted wraps, nothing you haven't seen before. And for the upcoming truss, you'll need to constantly bounce to the left. I suggest climbing up before you bounce, so then you can get more height. For this part, climb up to the second last rung of the truss, and then keep bouncing until you reach the ladder part. I suggest using first person for this wrap. You can hover around like normal here, flick off at an angle here. For this, you'll have to line it up at this specific point so that you have a likely chance of not hitting the progress thief brick. This shouldn't be too troublesome, just get the speed and then line it up correctly. Line up that sharp wrap carefully though. Now you just have a squeeze and then following that you have a long jump to this ladder. Hover to the right on the ladder and flick up like normal. Now you just have to long jump back inside. Stay somewhat close to the wall for this wrap when you go to the truss. Make sure to go low enough before bouncing off the truss. Now you just need to wrap into this cage looking structure. The middle bar is actually an X pusher. Focus more on staying in the middle of the X pusher. Now continue walking and then walk straight down to the first platform on the outside. For the upcoming slanted wrap further out like a stick out. Jump onto the truss like a head hitter, snap off of the truss and onto the slanted part. Keep walking into the slanted part until you make it to a safer platform. Now you have some easier jumps to a morpher, and then you have made it to floor 10. Follow the blue arrow to the first button challenge, where you should ledge grab and go down until your torso is below the top of the ledge, and then shift off of the truss and onto the button. Now the second button is hidden on this part of the frame. For the third button, you should go up onto this beam, walk to the end of this other beam, be sure not to jump into the insta-kill, and jump onto the button instead. Now there should be a new way to go. Following this, you'll have the timed section. You'll have 40 seconds to get to the final stretch once you press the button. Press the button with your right arm to begin. The next platform is behind the wall. For the upcoming spinner, run against it so that you get to the end of the spinner slowly, and then you can jump on the platform. Now you have some wraparounds, and be careful since this is a spinner. For the following walk around, you can go up the other wall, and then you can do a curvy wraparound without jumping. Now you can just hover around this truss and bounce off into the platform. Now you simply have to do one ladder flick from one truss to another, and that is the timed section finished. Be careful, if you fall here you die. Firstly, ledge grab and then climb down slightly, then flick off and down into the next truss. Continue to hover around the truss until you get to the back right corner, then bounce off to the next platform. For the cylinder jump ahead, it takes a crazy amount of precision. You have to follow the wall, however not go into the wall, so that you can make it to the next platform. As you can see, the platform is located on the opposite side of the cylinder. Ahead you'll have a wrap, and then you have to walk into the lodge. You can jump into it or you can walk into it. Now you've got a tight but simple wrap. Keep away from most walls except for the one you're wrapped. Climb down the following truss all the way until you're about at the second rung or below, and then bounce off to the final jump. Line this up and perform it like a long jump, and at the final chance you get, turn towards the truss. Go up the truss, hover towards the platform and get off, and be aware of the insta-kill at the center of the platform. And that was Tower of Micromanagement. And here's the win room. May have not been the most legit win ever, but it's finally over. The wind room is rather lackluster. It just has an island with a construction site that was abandoned or something like that. Anyways, feel free to check out the stuff in this description, maybe subscribe, but most importantly, send suggestions in the comment section. For what I'll do next, I have a few things in mind, but with that, thanks for watching. Bye.